Welcome into week 4. The Texans are hosting the Chargers. You're looking live at Cameron Johnston. He's wearing the Australian flag on the back of his helmet. It's a part of an NFL initiative where a number of players are representing their countries for this week and next week. Cam is just one of the Texans players that'll be wearing a decal today. And the Texans, they look to get their first win of the season today. The last time they were here, they tied. They hope that doesn't happen again. We're going to get into the day's top stories, your starting lineups, and answer fan questions. Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon, starts now.
Welcome to our coverage of Houston Texans football.
Need some juice, need some energy, and just do your job.
Let's go, Texans!
Let's go!
Welcome into Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon. I'm here with my good friend Drew Doherty. It feels good to be home because it feels like it's been a long time since we've been here. Week 1, in fact, but now the Texans, they're back. They're facing the Chargers, a very banged-up Chargers team, and they hope they can walk out of this one with a win, not a tie.
Texans need a win. Ties are gross. Losses are even grosser, and the Texans got to get in the win column. It's been too long, and today's a great opportunity. You walloped this team last year. You put 41 points on them. It was your signature win of 2021, and like you mentioned, they come in banged up. No Bosa, no Pro Bowl left tackle in Clemens' own Rashawn Slater. You also are not going to see Keenan Allen, their all-pro wide receiver, and the quarterback, Justin Herbert, is banged up with broken rib, not broken, but
it's like
severely
cracked
injured ribs.
rib cartilage,
they're
which
basically
I didn't know you
broken
could
ribs,
do.
but they're not officially broken ribs, but they're pretty much broken ribs. So, yeah, you've got a chance today, and you got to get it done.
You got to get it done. All right, let's get into some of your quick hits presented by BMW. The Texans, they've been close in all 3 of their previous games. The offense has been in it, but unable to score in the fourth quarter. They haven't scored a single point in the fourth quarter. And head coach Lovie Smith said that's got to change this week.
Easier? Oh, we got to keep grinding. It's what we have to do. We haven't finished. I mean, we're not looking to make things easier. I mean, trying to, decisions we make are what we think we need to do to get over the hump. Easier doesn't necessarily go with that. But what we're going to do is we're going to do the things that we believe in better. As I look at that game, there's a lot of opportunities. When I say we're close, we're not going to go in a game where we're not going to make 4 third-and-ones. We're not going to be for third and go from the 2 and get knocked back to have to kick a field goal. I don't think we're going to throw. I don't think we're going to have 2 tip balls that they're going to intercept. So when I say we're a lot closer, we're closer in a lot of different ways. But close doesn't matter an awful lot. That's why we're excited about playing this week, and hopefully we can. What I've said, the improvements that we've made, will be on display.
Rookie running back Dameon Pierce found the end zone for the first time last week against Chicago. He currently leads all rookie running backs in rushing yards. However, last week he also put the ball on the ground twice. Offensive coordinator Pep Hamilton said it's going to be a fine balance between running the ball and ball security, but it's something that Pierce has worked on this week in practice.
Well, we don't want anything to get in the way of him being an instinctual runner, moving forward. I think it's just something that fundamentally, that he'll be aware of. Scars and reminders. If there's one thing that, that he did once we got on the practice field yesterday for the first time since that game on Sunday is he was very conscious of, ball positioning, double arm wrapping the ball in traffic, and just securing the football. But, at the same time, we don't want that to slow him down. We want him to be able to run hard, run smart, but protect the football at the same time.
Texans number 3 overall pick, Derek Stingley Jr. got his first career sack last week at Chicago. He's had some tough assignments through the first 3 weeks of his NFL career and kept his own. Cornerbacks coach Dino Vasso has been impressed with what he's seen so far from the rookie.
Extremely impressed with Sting. Most impressed by his demeanor on game day, his ability to put plays behind him, be it good or bad. He's a guy that deals with success and adversity extremely well. And that goes to show with his stoic personality, just doesn't get too high or too low. And that's really how you judge someone's character, how they are in the highs and the lows. And he showed that over the first couple weeks.
All right, well, let's get to some of your inactives for today's games for both teams. Let's start with the Houston Texans.
Yeah, DP, the tight ends are getting a shakeup this week. No Brevin Jordan, which was expected. He's been, hobbled by an ankle injury. We didn't see him last week in Chicago. He limped off the field in Denver. But Pharaoh Brown, if you go down the list, he's also inactive. So that means your three active tight ends are O.J. Howard, Mason Schreck, and Jordan Akins, who caught a touchdown in his return to the Texans last week. He was elevated from the practice squad yesterday. So those three are the ones you'll see today. Otherwise, wide receiver Tyler Johnson is active. That's a big deal. So is Philip Dorsett, who has been inactive the last few weeks. So they're going more wide receiver heavy than they have in the past few weeks. And you see some of the other names in Damone Harris, Jake Hansen, so on and so forth. But those are the big ones. Offensively, it's a bit of a shakeup, like we mentioned. Different tight ends and a new wide receiver in the mix. We'll see how much Tyler Johnson gets in there today. And you see some of those names there, big ones. Keenan Allen. Parham is a very important part of their offense. And the rookie from Texas A&M, not active in a return to Texas, Isaiah Spiller. He's somebody that the Texans, or many Texans fans, wanted this team to take in the draft, but you will not see Isaiah Spiller. They say he's coming along nicely, but just not quite ready yet, and those are your inactives. And Davis Mills, it's a big day for him. It's a big day for this team, and the last time he played the Chargers, he lit it up, DP. Good things happen.
Yeah, he sure did. I know they want to get things back on track with Davis Mills. It's been a rough go for him these past few weeks, and he seems to have had a really nice connection with the tight end so far.
Yeah, he has. And O.J. Howard, as you remember, is the last player to have scored a touchdown in the second half for the Texans, and that was in week 1. So think about it. They went fourth quarter in overtime against the Colts. They went the second half against the Broncos, second half against the Bears without getting into the end zone. That's got to change. They've not put sixes on the board in the fourth quarter, much less the second half. So they must score late unless they're up really, really big early. But why not do both? How about that? You like that? Lots of
yeah,
touchdowns
and you know
early
what?
late?
Fun fact, and it's not so fun, but no wide receiver has caught a touchdown this year for the
or
Texans.
Running back. Yeah, it's only been tight ends. O.J. Howard.
Yeah.
And
rushing touchdown, but no other position group other than tight ends.
Howard and Akins
touchdowns.
are the only. There's only
That's
three.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. All right. Well, let's get into some of your fan questions presented by Daikin. People are watching from all over.
Yeah, Tacho and Corpus Christi. Our good pal Frederic Fachet in France. Frederic, thanks for chiming in. Thanks for checking us out. Christian in Portland is also watching. I thought that was Christian in Poland for a second, but I bet there is a Christian in Poland checking out this pregame show. And the first one comes from Tommy. DP, he wants to know, what do the Texans defense have to do, or what does the defense have to do to stop Justin Herbert?
Ooh.
Well, he's banged up, like we mentioned, and it hurts to throw the ball. So let's get some sacks. Let's knock him around. Let's get him uncomfortable. We've heard you got to get him off his spot. You got to get him to deliver the ball a little bit sooner, which is, true of any quarterback, really, but get after him. Because you've done a good job in the pass rush so far this year, relatively speaking. You've gotten sacks. You've put pressure on the quarterback, Jerry Hughes. Heck, he's on pace for, 22.5?
I was just going to bring that stat up.
You put your on-pace guy hat on.
22.67, Drew Doherty.
I like that.
I told Jerry about this the other day in the locker room. He said he's going to click his heels and hope for the best. And I said, I'm hoping for you. 4 sacks. He's tied for second in the NFL in sacks. But on the other side of the ball, so is Khalil Mack.
Yes,
he's also tied for second. He's also got 4 sacks. So the pass rush on both these teams is very strong. And I think the Texans, that's definitely been a strength of their defense so far, getting after the quarterback. So just make life super uncomfortable for Justin Herbert.
Amen. Javari in Miami has this. Will we see an aggressive passing game today? Well, you hope so. You're back at home. It's not going to be as loud on offense, and you've added another wide receiver to the mix and kind of scaled back the tight ends because what do we see? Tyler Johnson, Philip Dorsett, along with the crew that's normally there. So let's see what they do. Let's see if that passing attack can get more aggressive like you're talking about. But you absolutely want to start by hammering the football with Dameon Pierce. He's one of your best weapons, if not the best weapon you've had so far this season. So accentuate that. Let's see what he can do. I think, he fumbled a couple times last week. Didn't lose it. I think there's being made, or a little too much is being made of those fumbles because I think you got to give this guy the ball as much as you can and do it through the air too, because he can catch passes and he can make people miss in open space.
Well, I think to your point, I mean, the Chargers defense allows a lot of yards on the ground, over 5.6 yards on the ground. So I think if you can get the run game going, it is going to open things up for the passing game. And, you know, the receivers, they haven't really stepped up. They've been banged up. There's been injury. There's been a lot of instability in that group. I mean, as you can see, we've got different receivers every single week.
Sure.
So this week, you know, maybe you can get things going with Brandon Cooks. He's had a really slow start to this year. That chemistry has not quite been there. You'd hope that week 4 that starts to get going, but I think you're right, Drew. Absolutely up front, it's got to start with the run game going, and that will open things up the passing game because they got to come out aggressive. They're going to have to outscore this Chargers defense. Field goals aren't just going to cut it today against this team.
Yeah, we got a question that's looking a week ahead. Basically, it's Jones, and Jones wants to know: will Christian Harris play today? It's a great question, Jones. You got to wait at least one more week.
Hold your horses, but he's
still
coming.
on injured reserve, and if you were on injured reserve to start the season, can't come back until next week after you have to miss 4 games. So Christian Harris might be there. Lovie Smith has been asked about it during the week. Didn't give a firm answer, but it sounds like he's on the right track. Whenever he's ready to play, they're throwing him out there because you need him. You need a guy like Christian Harris.
Absolutely.
This guy can make plays. He would be an absolute shot in the arm to your defense. So just sit tight, Jones. Christian Harris is coming, maybe even as soon as next week, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah, they've got to miss 4 games before they can come off IR, and after that, it's free game for all of them. But we saw him in camp. I mean, he's got some speed. Everyone in that defense talked about, especially the linebackers group, that he's one of the speediest linebackers. And, boy, wouldn't you like to have that against some of these teams now heading into the stretch of the season. So wait another week. I have seen him in the locker room. I've seen him out and about.
Yeah.
So I feel like he is going to be close.
Yeah,
he's not that far off. So we'll have to see next week what happens with the transactions if he comes off. All right, Alex wants to know, what do you expect from O.J. Howard? Well, O.J. Howard, I mean, who was a new face to this team in week 1, seems like an OG of tight ends when you head into today's games because he's supported by Jordan Akins, who was here last year but was elevated off the practice squad both last week and this week. So he's relearning this offense because it's very different from how he was here last year. And then you've got Mason Schreck, who gets elevated off the practice squad. So O.J. Howard's kind of your most experienced guy when it comes to playing experience in this system this year for the Texans. So
yeah, no doubt.
You expect him to step up today?
I would think so. You know, he's probably going to start. And Jordan Akins, if they run a 2 tight end set, you'll see Akins out there as well if that's the starting lineup. But I'm curious about Schreck. We saw a little of him in the preseason. Caught a touchdown pass at Los Angeles. Had one of those atomic spikes that was really, really cool. So I know our social media department is looking for Schreck to score because they can make the movie jokes.
Very cool last name, yes.
I know
agree.
I'm looking forward to that. But, yeah, as far as O.J. Howard goes, hey, he's got the most touchdown catches on the team. He's got the most touchdowns on the team right now. Let's get him the ball. Let's see what you can do. And let's spread that around. There is 86, Mason Schreck.
All right. Well, Drew, you had a chance to catch up with another guy that we love to see out there. Roy Lopez. He's in year 2. He's had a quarterback hit. He's had a pass defense. You had a chance to sit down with the big guy this week.
Thank you so much, fellas. We got Roy Lopez, defensive lineman for the Houston Texans here. Good to see you as always. Texans taking on the Chargers, and we've heard, hey, got to finish better, from Lovie Smith to the assistants to you guys as a player. What does that mean for you? How do you have to finish better, Roy?
Right. It comes down to the details and doing your job and making sure that you do it for 60 minutes, all 4 quarters, if not a little more. So it's going to take all of us, every single snap. Every play matters. So that's something that we've reflected on and we hope to grow on and we look to grow on and we will grow on. It's going to take all 4 quarters, if not another one. So we're excited to get it done. So
impressive stuff. Right. Let's talk about the opponent you'll face. They've got 2 rookies that will be starting on this offensive line, which is a pretty darn good offensive line before you take those guys, those veterans out. But what do you make of that front that Los Angeles brings to town?
Right. They play physical. They're smart. They understand that they got a superstar quarterback, and they have to get the job done. They got to protect them. So I think they take pride in that, and they play as one. So that's something that we got to do as a D-line also. Is we got to play as one to get the job done because we get paid to get after him. So
he one of the best quarterbacks you've ever seen?
100%. You watch some of the throws he makes, and you turn into appreciating the game.
Hey, after 2 weeks on the road, how special is it for you as a defensive player getting back home in front of a loud crowd when you guys are out on the field in key situations? How vital is that? How valuable is that for you guys as a defense?
Yeah, it's huge. third quarter of the Colts game, even fourth quarter, early fourth quarter, the crowd was crazy, you know, and it was nuts the whole game. Just unfortunately we weren't able to pull that out and ended up being a tie, but the energy in that stadium was nothing like I experienced last year, you know, and it was awesome to see the growth of just the team, the organization, the city of just coming around us, and it makes a huge difference, you know, just being able to confidence and you play with and the noise you hear, you know, messes with the offense. They got a few false starts that game, and it all just bounces off of each other, you know. So when they say, you know, we need our fans, it's the truth. You know, we really do at this level.
Great to hear, Roy. Good luck on Sunday. Can't wait to talk to you again. We really appreciate the time.
Yes, I appreciate you.
Good stuff from Roy Lopez, who is a master at Jenga, from what Drew Doherty tells me.
He sure is, and I actually saw his dad and his sisters as I was walking up here. That's why I was a little bit late. I know Tyler Marcotte, our producer, was kind of angry about that as I was
You were chit-chatting with the
late to the
Lopez's?
show. But yeah, I was. I had to,
okay.
get the family involved, and they were excited about game day, and they said, yes, he is pretty good at those parlor games, as they call them. So, yeah, he's not bad.
All right, well, Roy Lopez is part of the starting lineup today, so let's get right into it. Let's take a look at your starting lineups for the Texans defense. Up front. Oh, actually, we'll look at your offense first. So we'll take a look here. Obviously, Davis Mills starting at your quarterback, Dameon Pierce and Troy Hairston. You got the fullback in the lineup. Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins at wide receiver, no changes there. O.J. Howard is your starting tight end, though, because you've got no Pharaoh Brown, no Brevin Jordan for today's game. And then no changes for your starting O-line, something that you like to see. Kenyon Green getting his continuing to start at left guard.
Yes, chemistry. Chemistry is a key. I know why you started with defense, because this is what's likely going to happen in a perfect world. Texans win the coin flip. They choose to defer, so that means they'll kick off to start
That's
the game.
That's exactly what I
was
defense.
Thinking.
Yes,
I saw
you.
what you were doing there. You see Jerry Hughes, he's leading the Texans in sacks. Like DP said, he's second in the league in that category. The linebacking crew, Blake Cashman getting a start. That's a big deal. That's not always been the case around here. So Blake Cashman, who was traded for this offseason and was shining on special teams and doing nice things in the preseason, he's going to get a go today. And look at the bottom there, Jalen Petrie. 2 interceptions, 2 tackles for loss, a sack, and a partridge in a pear tree last
phenomenal game.
Last week in Chicago. What a game. What a guy. And we can't wait to see what he does today along in the secondary. He's going to get tested against a quarterback like this. Boy, howdy. And Davis Mills, like we mentioned, he's got to play better, and he's also got to get some help on the ground, DP, and that's perfect because we got a question about Dameon Pierce and carries, and Taylor wants to know, do you think Dameon Pierce will get more carries today? He got 20 last week. That was a career high. DP, over under 20.5.
Ooh. I'm going to say over just because I feel like if he had not had that second fumble, he would have stayed in for that final series, so he would have been over 20.
Yeah.
And I think the goal is to get him over 20 carries a game. Absolutely.
Absolutely. 20 carries, 20 touches, but
if
I'm
all
with
goes
you.
Well,
I hope he does get to 21 carries because if you're doing that, I mean.
And a hundy.
Absolutely. Why not? He was on pace for that. Speaking of on pace guy, after 3 quarters last week, it was a bright outlook. It was all things were sunny in Dameon Pierce land going for 100. So let's make it happen today. And if he can do that, because we saw Rex Burkhead do it against this team last year, I think you're going to roll. I think the Texans can do it. But you got to make it happen first before the rolling starts.
All right, John wants to know, what do the Texans need to do to win today? John, I think it's going to start with the guy that we just finished talking about, Dameon Pierce. Get the ground game going. The run game is going to open things up for Davis Mills and the offense. And then just to get these receivers involved early and score in the fourth quarter. How about that? How about finishing out games? Because they've been close. They've either been tied or in the lead. They've never trailed heading into the fourth quarter, and yet they've been outscored 30-0. So they just need to play 4 quarters of football. I think through the first 3 quarters, they've been right in there with all those games. But in the fourth quarter, they just got to keep their foot on the gas.
Yeah, and you got to tighten up in the run defense. I know the Chargers don't get a lot of yardage on the ground. They're averaging 2.6 yards per carry. Don't let them get well.
Yeah, don't let that
your
change
defense.
today.
You can't have that happen. I know they're thinking, because we've seen our counterparts with the Chargers say, hey, could this be the day that the Chargers run game gets going? Let's make it not be the day.
Let's make that a no.
Kick the can down the road and make that happen some other time, not here on Pink Ribbon Day presented by Kroger at NRG Stadium.
We've all got our pink on. I think Drew's got a little bit of pink on.
I got some in my tie. I got the ribbon.
I've got enough
it's
pink for the both of us. You're not going to miss me out here today. All right, let's get into your sleeper of the game presented by Mattress Firm. I will go first,
Okay.
and I love my own pick. So if I could just toot my own horn, I think every time that we get a brand new tight end involved in this game, he catches a touchdown. So slam dunk for me. I'm going to go Mason Schreck because
All right.
week 1 we get O.J. Howard. He gets 2 touchdowns. Last week we elevate Jordan Akins from the practice squad. He gets a touchdown. So I think that Pep Hamilton's going to feed his new tight end.
This
ball
is
today.
excellent. I love that choice, DP, and I will concede.
too.
I will concede the.
I don't know if it's going to happen, but I love it.
Since you and I fight over articles to write during the game, you get to write that article
I'll
when
write
it
the
happens.
article when it happens.
Because I think that's a wonderful,
Well,
wonderful
thank you.
thing. If
Thank
he's
you.
catching a touchdown, we're
I'm
in good
hoping for
shape.
Shrek memes for all of us.
I
all around.
love the Shrek memes. I'm going to go with Blake Cashman. I was talking a little bit about him earlier. Let's see what he can do. He's kind of in the preseason, he was kind of a playmaker and could do some things. Texans need some plays out of their linebackers today. Austin Eckler over on the other side, the running back, he's not averaging a lot on the ground, but they throw the ball to him an awful, awful lot. So that's going to put some pressure on the linebackers. Blake Cashman, let's see him get it. There's Lovie Smith.
There's Lovie Smith taking the field. He was actually at the game yesterday, the Battle of the Piney Woods.
Yeah.
He was checking out some college football, some East Texas college football as well, so he's hoping to get a win for his squad today. He loves playing at home, loves this home crowd. Davis Mills loves playing at home. He does really well when he plays at home as well, so let's see if the Texans can do it. We've got just under 40 minutes until kickoff. You can catch it on CBS, also on Sports Radio 610. That's going to do it for Texans Unlimited Live, presented by Verizon. We'll be back next week. Texans are on the road, so enjoy this home game while you got it, and have yourselves a great game day. Go Texans.